ladies and ladies, guys aren't allowed to listen to this one. Ladies and gentlemen, this
Well,
is Dylan Gott. You're going to listen to John Hastings in a second. And baby girls, we are talking about newgrounds.com today. Do you know what that is? Are you exactly 40, John?
I am 38, so I am aware of newgrounds.com, but I never used it. That's the amazing thing about certain stages of the internet is that literally it's like Pokemon. I was like 11 when Pokemon hit, so I was like, that's a toy for little kids. I'm not getting into it. And I still think when like people are like, oh, I love Pokemon, I'm like, man, what a fucking loser you are. I'm like,
Yeah, that is there. Here's the crazy thing is that anime to me
yes,
is for
yes.
masturbators who do it in public. And obviously, anime now would just be called cartoons because they don't really make cartoons that aren't like anime because Dragon Ball Z came in and Pokemon came in and just took our children from us.
Yeah, yeah. Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z basically showed up, looked at the Power Rangers, and went, "Let us show you how to make money, fuckos." So now everything is anime. But you're 100% correct because I grew up in the comic book age of nerddom, and there was an anime section, and it was always at the front because you had to stop people from jacking off at the store. That was the
Hell yeah.
main problem. Yeah, give me a hell yeah. You want to go in here and jack off to some tentacles being shoved into a woman? Give me a hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Also, there was just like regular girl on guy stuff that no one even focuses on.
Yeah, I really do like the guys that defend anime, especially that type of anime, because it's always done in that tone where it's like they're always bringing up that anime where it's an actual Uzi that's a person and it fucks the world. And then there's just a full book of white pages to represent its load. And people always just focus on the weird, overtly sexy stuff. Why don't they talk about the just normal things like how a book comes to life and then fucks a rhino?
All right, we're going to talk about newgrounds.com.
But it's all in this area. Sorry for interrupting.
No, I mean, it's like newgrounds.com. I want to tell this in two parts, John.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do half this half this episode's going to be newgrounds.com, and then after the break we're just going to kind of shit about whatever. It could be about newgrounds.com. It could be about how fucking you can't find a good piece of steak nowadays.
We're basically leading into the fact that most of the episodes just devolve into us chatting about our lives. So we're going to do first half infocast.
First half is the thing, and then the second half is whatever the shit.
Here's what I would like to name them. First half, info zone. Second half, no rules zone.
Oh, they're both zones?
Yeah, they're zones. Don't you enjoy the zone we're in right now?
Info zone and no rules land.
Oh, but land has to be misspelled because there's no rules.
You know what the fun? Remember? So obviously we're wrestling fans, and the first half of Monday Night Raw used to be called Monday Night Raw, and then there was Raw is War, and then they changed that after 9/11, and they called it the Raw Zone, which to me is so much funnier because it's like it's no longer Raw is War. Now I ain't wearing a condom, leaving it all in. That's what the second hour is about.
Remember, I got yelled at by Lee Versage at the Team 1200 when I was an intern at the Team 1200, a sports radio station.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And he is the only guy I've ever met that defended the WCW invasion, by the way. I thought it was perfect. Stone Cold used to wrestle in WCW. Listen, anyway, I pointed out that Raw Zone made it sound like that's the place where all the high school high school kids go to try not using condoms. And he went, that's unseemly. That's unseemly. And then literally the next day, I got kicked out of the booth because he got caught cheating on his wife. And his wife was on a speakerphone yelling at him for the entire broadcast. It was the best.
Why? I mean, the speakerphone that's his choice.
I completely agree with you. That's the wildest part of the entire thing. Might have been his girlfriend. If I'm totally honest, I don't actually think it was his wife.
Okay, then that's not cheating. That's just exercise.
That is true. Sorry, I rescind. It's only cheating if a god was involved. If it was just the bond of two mortals, let fly genital wise, as I always say.
Okay, here it is. If you're living in sin anyway, there is no sin outside of it, John. And that includes newgrounds.com.
Of course.
What it is. I don't know if I played all these games on newgrounds.com or if I played them outside of, but I want to talk about who the man was and the really quaint story of him. And then the actual content of his website, which are two different things, John.
It's quite enjoyable, Dylan. Let's pour yourself a cup of chamomile tea and get ready to meet The guy that we all knew in high school that you didn't know his phone number, but you were always excited when you ended up sitting next to him at the cafeteria. A little man named Tom Fulp. What a terrible name. Who in 1995, while still in high school, pimpled face, ass, pockmarked from pimples. I don't know why his ass is brought up. Initially, it started as a personal website where he just posted various animations and games using the name Newground, which was inspired by the Nat Geo series of websites, I think, which was, and it just is Nat Geo. It's just another way of saying Nat Geo. It's Newground. In 1999, Flash was invented. We'll get to what Flash is in a second, which is a popular tool for creating animations and games that are interactive. Newgrounds embraced Flash. Flash, by the way, I always remember, which is if you had an old computer because you were poor as fuck, Flash was always the first thing to let you know that, well, your computer just not going to work with a bunch of websites now. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh, what a fucking nightmare.
I remember, yes, my computer would only be able to go on text sites.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if anything, if you had moving pictures.
Yeah. Sorry.
Off, yeah.
What are you doing? I'm just waiting for someone to write a Wikipedia article about that website so I can find out what's going on.
Yeah, and that was also like, my family wasn't like by any means struggling, and I was just like, could we get a new computer? And then my mother and stepdad were like, no, computers for reading, TVs for moving pictures.
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. There's no moving pictures on the fucking computer. You're already whacking off enough to the thing, and it's a dot matrix printer hooked up to a monitor. If we hit moving pictures, the entire house is going to be covered in what I'm going to have to tell myself is cream of mushroom soup.
Listen, John, can I tell you something?
Yes.
I think they were onto something. What was the downfall of society as we know it? Moving pictures on the computer.
Yeah, I got back. You know,
if it was just text, it would just be what I had to do at an office job that I hated in 2006, which was just reading Wikipedia.
Yeah, you're not
that was
fucking wrong.
The old TikTok. Was I would just read Wikipedia.
Oh,
so like, I'm wasting time, but I know a lot about the giant squid.
Yeah. Oh, the millennial TikTok is literally just hitting random article on Wikipedia. Oh yeah, I wasted my mid-20s at a data entry job, but I also have read a lot of synopsises of movies I've never seen, but I do know the endings now.
Yeah, exactly. So John, Newgrounds.
Basically, Tom Fulp and his brother Wade Fulp. They just develop a bunch of games and have a sweet place to go hang out and express themselves creatively. And it seems really wholesome and nice until you read any of the things they developed, and then you're like, oh, sweet mother of God, the internet strikes again.
Well, they build Newgrounds.com. They make their own games. Obviously, people can put their games on their site.
Absolutely. And
to this day, he works at his own game studio, and they release indie games for the Xbox. Isn't that a nice story? A man.
It's so nice. It's so nice because it's basically
also has been doing what he wanted to do with his life, John.
What's also the thing you have to remember is also all the indie game developing and stuff like that has really helped push the video game industry away from being like a real sort of just like an entertainment factory to a place where genuine artists can go to express themselves, because it's an amazing place for visual artistry in our ever moving society, when visual art is harder and harder to get to the masses in an important and delicious way. Now, Dylan, let's end the episode now before it takes the inevitable turn for the worse. What do you say, huh? One positive one for the kids. You know what I mean? So I feel like every time I meet our listeners, you know what I mean? They're nice men and women and non-binary individuals, but they all have darkness in their eyes, because many of the episodes start like this, Dylan. Two chums having a nice chat, usually masturbation centric, and then takes the inevitable turn for the worse, because it turns out, oh, and the games they developed, they also invented child porn and dog fucking. And so
there was no child porn games, but there was stuff that is Jason, I would say.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
John,
I mean,
can I tell you about one of the games I remember from Newgrounds.com?
I want to talk about some of the games you sent me this morning.
So these games, this one I remember as not being one of the most popular games, but all the games that I sent you this morning were literally, I sorted by all time, and then I put popular. And they're the most popular games of all time.
Number one, Friday Night Funkin'? Friday Night Funkin' is number one.
Friday Night Funkin' is number one, which is
Oh yeah,
literally just Guitar Hero. That's nice. And then
yeah.
there's also games that are just
But
well,
number
Friday Night
two,
Funkin' is basically a ripoff of Parappa the Rappa. Then there's also like basically they just remade Flash versions of like one guy remade Mega Man as an RPG. One guy remade just made like another Zelda game. One guy they remake, oh my goodness, what is it? They make this really fun game where you're just a shark and all you have to do is dive in and out of the water killing things.
do you find, I don't know how you feel about fan fiction. I always find fan fiction a little odd. Do you know what I'm saying? But I actually really enjoy video game fan fiction where they're like, yeah, I remade Mega Man, it's in Zelda. And you're just like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. You know what I
They
mean?
just
Like,
change the skins and then make a new game. Yeah.
exactly. Like, listen, we are both wrestling fans, and they have been for years teasing us about like just remaking various things using the engine of WWF's No Mercy. And I got news for you. If you go, it's Metroid, but it's the engine of WWF No Mercy, it's $1,500 and you have to fully fight your father. I'd be like, tell Steve I'll meet him in the ring. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
that
let's
is a
do it.
so this is like a very weird part of the internet I'm on, but it's just old men remaking NFL 2K5 because
Oh, yes.
engine wise, that's the best football game of all time. Now the franchise mode has some problems, but we can talk
Of
about
course.
that
Well,
in another
listen,
much longer podcast that I'll be starting alone
I'll
with
be
me in
listening.
different shirts. I'll have a YouTube video of it. It's me switching shirts to like angrily refute my own points.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Why?
and
What?
every single year, literally, this person adds and updates the ratings to every single person. They add new photos every single. This is one person who just is like, I don't have a good football game to play. I will make a good football game. And that is the core of what newgrounds.com is. But god damn it, if there isn't also a game where you run around killing gay guys, and if you don't kill enough of them, they fuck you in your butt, John, and that's how you die.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, of course,
All the
because
gay
again,
guys are naked and all they do is go ha ha ha. That's one of the most oh, here's one of the most popular games. Punch Britney Spears in the
yes,
face
I
till
saw
she's
that one
dead.
too. Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
no, there's like
there's a lot.
10
It's
of those.
yeah, because here's the thing that you forget. I really forget that
What did you forget?
The Newgrounds time for me was like 2006 to sort of 2011, and that I remember it
Oh,
being
really?
discussed the most, especially like it was very much a like I'd be like drinking beer and all the guys that hung out at the bar I hung out in Montreal, but I'd come there with friends and they just come alone. A lot of those guys were like Newgrounds gamers. Because just the thing, Montreal, when I lived at it, was a lot of people that were like, they've done 1 year of university and now they're just in this city. And so it was a lot of people like working fraud telemarketing sales jobs before they changed the laws. So you have guys who literally are like the dude that smoked cigarettes throughout high school and now he's making 80 grand a year just defrauding old people in the Canadian interior on the phone, and he's playing a lot of bend over bin Laden. This is when I remember Newgrounds being discussed a
Yes.
lot.
Bend over Bin Laden, and also there's a lot of Bend over Bin Laden. There's a lot of games that are just you punching Osama Bin Laden. So like when I was into Flash, it was so the job I mentioned where it was me looking at Wikipedia. I worked at a
Can I just
pharmacy for
stop you right
nursing
there?
homes. Yes.
All of the jobs you have had, save for working at Second Cup, are always wild. Like it's literally like you worked at that
This one was
catering
nuts. I should have kept this one.
you worked at a catering company that was mostly you and I remember, do you remember I used to bike up and we'd smoke cigarettes in front of your job.
So that was also I was a jack of all trades admin person. That was a great job too. And they had 4 hour minimums and I would do all my work in 2 hours. So I just had like I was like, all right, I'm done. And then they would be like, hey, do you want to get on the phones to like or because there was like organizing people to work at the catering company, which was like hell on earth because you're literally trying to wrangle cats. One person called me and was like, hey, I don't know where this place is. Could you Google it for me? And I'm like, what are you calling me on? They were like, an iPhone. And I was like, okay. Use Google on your iPhone, or I'm going to go there and stick my dick so far up my own ass that it's going to be fun.
I'm gonna say this. I remember when you used to hire comedians to do some catering at that company, and I remember how you're like you hired a bunch, and then the number of comedians quickly dwindled with each gig. To then it was like I'm not hiring any more comedians for this
Well,
fucking
because every
catering company.
comedian was like, yeah, I'll work here. It's at night. No, I have to do an open mic in the woods that I'm pretty sure is just a guy trying to
Yeah,
kill me, but I'm going to risk it because I need to work out this new bit about the grocery store.
yeah, bro. This is Toronto comedy in 2011. I got to go do an open mic at the Madison House that starts at 1 in the morning and
Oh,
is
yeah.
hosted by the ghost of Christmas future stand-up comedian, just a guy in a leather jacket, confused why he can't smoke inside. Anytime someone stands up to go to the bathroom, all gay guys to the bathroom, making that
Oh,
announcement.
yeah.
Do you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that
Tom Fulp.
absolute staple of Yuck Yucks comedy in the early
Tom Fulp, buddy. That's
2010s?
what Tom Fulp invented. Here. I just
Tom
want to
Fulp
say
invented
this.
that?
I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
get this out. I gotta
Go
get this
get it
out.
out.
So
Get
this
it out.
was
Get it out.
so. These are just come off to me as all like games you would play while you're bored at work, which is very funny. Where it's like, are you punching? You're supposed to fucking be an accountant. They're like, are you punching Osama bin Laden in the face? So there is three separate. All right, so this is the top. This are the notes I have. The most popular games, I sorted them. Scroll down for a minute. Three separate Kill Britney Spears games are in the most popular of all time.
Mhm.
One game I found was Saved by the Bell, where you get to pick a character and you have to fuck your way to like 5 grand, and a lot of it, and it takes your health away every time which is such a like
Now,
good way to talk about how some people view sex is that every time you fuck somebody, your health gets worse. Is that like, oh, every time you fuck somebody, someone has taken something from you.
yeah, no, it's
That
even more specific.
yours.
You can really tell the seeds of some of the man of some real incel manosphere doctrine being grown by whoever developed this, where he's just like, well, it's Kelly Kapowski, but every time she does that dirty, awful thing that they shouldn't do unless it's with me, they die.
Oh, buddy. And then I
It's also
replayed one
called
of the
Save
games
by
I
Your
used to
Balls,
play.
which I'm sorry, that's
Say by your balls.
come on. Like if you're gonna do a Save by the Bell parody, are you not fucking entertained?
I mean, what is the logo for the game?
I mean, it's Kelly Kapowski with a black eye. Go to
Yes.
hell. God damn it. For what?
That's one of the most popular games of all time.
Well
Anyway,
played,
it's
internet.
so funny to me because like
You
Tom Fulp
strike
talking about
again.
like they're trying to kill. He did all these interviews a couple years ago. He's like they're trying to take Flash, and Flash is such like a great part of what the internet used to be back when it was just a free exchange of information, the dream of the internet. And everyone's like, yeah, okay, let's go on your site. Oh my god, it's mostly wife beating games.
This is the problem with the internet, especially
Push
sort of.
your mom down the stairs. Upload a picture of your mom. Push her down the stairs.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Congress of the United States, if the internet is censored, then human beings will be losing one of their absolute rights as creatures on a free planet, the ability to express that which cannot be defined, creativity. And that is why I spent 2 years developing the Bill Cosby Fun Time Hour.
What was it? So one game I played, I used to play this game, or my friend Troy played it.
Of course,
It
his
was
name was Troy.
African Detroit Cop. So it's like a combination of every single Eddie Murphy movie. You play as Eddie Murphy, and the positive of this game was that it taught me about Eddie Murphy's singing career, and I listened to Party all the time.
Oh, yeah.
For a while. That's the positive. The negative is, you walk around and you're basically playing like you have three options because it's a very basic flash game, and then the end of the game is someone robs Stein Bank, and then you have to kill a robot.
I'm going to say this about the internet. When you said the name of the game was African Detroit Cop, I was like, oh boy, here we go. And then I was like, and then it's like, oh, it's just Eddie Murphy. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then it took the inevitable. Here's the thing. What's amazing about the internet is it's literally this is like, this is nice. This is nice. Do not stay here or do any sort of research into what this is. Cause then it's like that the internet it runs on bile, mucus, and piss. Like it's just like nothing.
Like, no, what it is, and it is like
human beings being able to be anonymous in a space where there is very few consequences. So the darkest parts of our personality come out.
Say like people exactly like So there was this documentary I watched, which is the start of how everyone just vomited blood. But anyway, there's
Yeah.
this thing I
Yeah,
watched
of course.
where it was about these guys who have you heard about this? These guys took over Twitter, and it was just like literally they just did this like they got some low level person Twitter person's email, and then they just kept on getting passwords up the chain by calling different people in Twitter and just being like, "Hey, I'm this. I need like
Yeah.
basically, hey, I need manager's approval for this. Can you give it to me?" And they'd be like, "Yep." And they just give them the information, and they just kept on doing that up the ladder till they had this like main dude of Twitter's information, and they logged into Twitter and they were in God mode for a bit, and all they did was like take Barack Obama's account over, and they were like, "Hey, I have." Then they tried to run Bitcoin scams essentially.
Of
Like
course.
so, the plan was brilliantly executed. What they wanted to do at the end of the plan was like they could have, if they wanted to, they could have started World War III
Yeah.
very easily.
Like, I
They could have
mean,
been like, "Hey, Russia." They could have just tweeted from different accounts that we have agreed to start World War III, and then fucking missiles would have been shot. Anyway, they could have done that. Now they were 16 years old, and clearly at the end of the day, what they were dumb. So this is like Newgrounds.com is like such a fucking Earth Flash in the early 2000s. Their games in the early 2000s, some of them are such a fucking lesser version of that, where it's like you have these people who are 15 with this crazy genius technical know-how, not genius, but like this technical know-how that's
no,
well beyond
genius.
what
They're
you would think.
genius.
Some of them, yes, and they use it to make games where you punch Britney Spears in the face.
Well, it's an interesting thing that we've come to in society, and I can't believe we've gotten here in this episode about newgrounds.com. But essentially, the internet's a bit of a trick in that it's presented that everyone's on it, everyone's putting in the content, all that sort of stuff. But there's huge corners and huge periods of time where like not that many people in the grand scheme of things were using the internet the way the people that are like, for lack of a better term, terminally online were using the internet. And newgrounds.com, to your point, is exactly that, which is this is a amazing burst of creativity where anything is possible, but the people with the technical know-how to do this are going to skew a certain way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're going to be like, well, you can make like anything. And you're like, and I'm going to make a game where I punch Osama bin Laden in the face until I come. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Well,
That's
that was the
all.
thing. They taught
And
me
by the
this in
way,
computer class. I made games that weren't this exactly, but there were something like this. Like I made a game where it was just fucking duck hunt, and then you had to shoot the rock in the face, and then the rock would explode into dicks.
I made a game where you dreamed about guitars and then you just raced a car that was a guitar because I didn't really pay attention in the class and had to do it very quickly while this guy Ted explained it to me.
Yeah, and then my friend Mike, who didn't like the programming aspect, we made a we made a game that was just bullying one kid in class.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
remember.
then it was a game where this guy in class asked this girl out on a date, and the thing about it was it was always you had like so many different ways to ask her out on a date, and she just said no matter what. It was literally the meanest thing I think I've been a part of, because he spent
No.
a quarter of a year of the school year drawing the grossest picture of this kid he could. He spent, and I'm not exaggerating this, every class, and it was like half an hour of the class. It would be the source material, and then Mike would go like, "Oh, okay, I think I'm gonna add more piss to this picture of this guy."
I mean, I got news for you. That's up there with a friend of mine every day for most of high school stole this girl who was like in a lot of our classes water bottle and threw it out a window. And I'm talking about for
That's
years.
crazy.
Years. I recently asked him, I was like, were you madly in love with her and you were expressing it that way? And he went, I've thought a lot about this. And no, I just really did not like her as a person. And I'm like,
That's crazy.
that's even
That's
crazier, bro. That's even like,
kids are
okay.
fucking fucked. What this is
Ottawa,
this
man.
is
Ottawa is the nuttiest fucking city. Like there is, you scratch Ottawa is like the internet. You scratch the surface, and then suddenly it's just a guy drawing a penis. But it's like, what is that? It's like, that's my father's penis. Why are you drawing your father's penis? Well, he just died, and I want to remember him. What's your fucking problem? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, well it's like it's the suburbs, man. Like any place that's like everyone's too set in their ways, where you're like you really do get the fucking Alfred quote from Batman. It's like some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Mike
Also,
also did this in high school. He was
oh
talking
yeah, he
about
did.
we were at like a courtyard. There was a courtyard attached to this class, and then Mike was like, "Oh, you'd be hilarious." To this other kid in class, he's like, "You'd be hilarious if you jumped out the window, man. That'd be hilarious." And then the kid was like, "Should I?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, it'd be so funny." Kid jumped out the window. You know how this ends. Mike locked the window. So the kid was
Oh
just in
fuck
the
yeah.
courtyard, and then he was like, and then the teacher was like, Why are you in the courtyard jumping out the window?" And the kid was like, didn't want to be like, "Oh, Mike told me to." And then Mike was like, "Yeah, why the fuck would you do that? That's What do you just want attention? What do you That's crazy."
I
And
mean,
then
I
the
gotta
teacher
tell you,
like and then the teacher put him in detention, and the kid just like seethed with rage.
I um I gave a speech when I was in grade 7, something similar to this, which was I was making a
I'd
bunch
like
of
to point
faces.
out now how off topic we are when we said we were going to
It's
stay
the
on
best.
topic. Continue.
Well, we're gonna loop back. Grade 7.
Sure, I don't give a shit.
Neither do I. I'm making a bunch of faces behind Madame Ledugno's back in grade 7 French, and all these kids laughed, and she got super angry because she was like a rageful, evil person, and she sent them all to the office for laughing. And then this kid Liam came up to me and went, "You better tell Madame Ledugno you were the one that encouraged the laughter, or I'm gonna tell on you." And then I said, "Tell on me. Let's go. Do it. I want you to tell on me, and let's see what happens." And then he got in trouble by the principal, Mr. Toms, for telling lies. And then I got brought to the office because I was because of what Liam said. And that's my favorite part of that entire story. "You're in trouble for being a snitch. You've been snitched on. Get in here." Yeah.
I'm going to bring everyone in the office because I feel like I have to do that, but I don't know what to do after this.
Fun fact about that principal. You want to know a fun fact about that principal? Did the weirdest thing ever, which he put a thing on the staff room door. I'll never forget this. That just said "No parents allowed," and I always was like, "What the fuck happened in there?" Where a parent walked into the staff room and saw where you had to ban it. Very funny. Anyway,
Oh, no, I'm assuming that was a parent running in being like, "Just because my boy hit someone with a car doesn't mean you have to give him detention."
yeah, probably. Knowing Ottawa, oh my god, thank God there were no phones then. Holy shit.
And then that man also, he made up Pico's school. What was
Oh,
Pico's
Pico
school?
School. Pico School is a school shooter game. You just walk around.
Hell yeah.
1995 though, real trendsetter. Fucking hell, eh?
It was
Fucking
1995.
95 is when that was developed, I believe. And yeah, so basically newgrounds.com, it's 95 to 99. I'm a liar. I believe it was actually was 2003 Pico School came.
Pico school? Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's after Columbine. Unless that person was
No, it was
like,
before.
"Here's
I
what
think it was
I'm going
before.
to do."
It's well before. It's well before. I'm a lying boy. Sometimes once the Flash comes out. So basically, you get the Flash player becomes a popular tool in 1999, and it basically explodes the whole thing. They add a portal system in 2000, which allows
Pico
you to
school
use
was in 2006.
son of a bitch.
Oh
Allows
wait, no, it's a 99 game. So what the other thing is, they've been really trying to keep Newgrounds
I was
.com.
I was building to this. Exactly correct. Go ahead. This is I think a really interesting thing.
Well, basically is that they like stopped using Flash on the internet and were deleting everything. So now it's like Newgrounds.com is your one-stop shopping for every single Flash game. So like some of these games weren't on Newgrounds.com. It's just Newgrounds is like the place where they've basically developed another version of Flash just to support old Flash games.
Yeah, basically what they did, and it's the only time that a media company very like sort of backstopped a technological evolution, is they were out there being like, keep supporting Flash, keep supporting Flash, keep supporting Flash. But while they were doing that, they were converting everything to something called HTML5, which allowed all the Flash games to keep running. So they were basically just using it as a big PR move to remind everyone that Newgrounds was still there, and then gather basically back the audience that they created, which is a huge swath of gamers, which are people that aren't playing Grand Theft Auto and Mario Kart, but they're playing fucking like they've played every version of Madness,
Well,
which is a
yes,
very popular Newgrounds game.
there's a large amount of people that are like, people who have like families and stuff who are like, "Okay, I'll sit down and play this video game for half an hour, but I do not have time to like Starfield." I was playing Starfield for a bit because I kind of like took a like I didn't take a week off performing, but I kind of took a week off of like, okay, I'm just gonna like basically set aside a couple hours to chill every day. So I was playing
Yeah.
Starfield, and now the thought of playing Starfield again, now that I've started, like, basically I had my week off, the thought of playing it again is laborious to me because it's like I don't even know where to start. Like
Yeah.
I it's just gathering items. The whole game is gathering items, and like I really like that, but it's like I just do not have the time. So anytime I sit down to play a video game, it's like half an hour and it's baseball because I can be like, I struck out, I hit a home run, I struck out, I'm done now. I can go back to
That's
work.
why I love Batman Arkham City. It's the bet. Like you're just like I
Just
just
run
want
around
to
and do shit.
I just want to run around and fucking beat the fuck out of some people as Catwoman.
You playing that is something that that should be a weird test of mental illness, is just hand someone a Grand Theft Auto controller and see what they do. And
Great
then if you're
point.
like,
What's your
if
first
they
thing you
just like
do?
go like, oh, I'm gonna go to the hospital and shoot all the people in there,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, I'm not gonna say you're going to do something, but you're definitely gonna be monitored.
Yeah, here's the thing. If you do that, you're not necessarily capable of horrific violence, but you've drawn up a plan. You know what I mean? Here's how far I've gone in terms of committing sort of mass murder is like I'll be in line at a fucking Target and some fucker will try and cut the line and right there I'll go for a machine gun. You know what I mean? The people that will immediately go into the hospital in Grand Theft Auto, they've drawn up a plan. Like they've taken out a legal pad and they've gone name one guy at Target with machete. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's not even about getting all the cops. It's like, it's about them
It's
like, oh,
causing
they're
hurt.
hurt. I'll finish them being hurt.
I
I want to shoot the doctors so they can't repair anyone.
what's the first thing you do in Grand Theft Auto? My first thing always steal the fastest car. Let's see how far I can drive it with as much damage on the car. It's my favorite thing.
Oh,
I'm one of
really?
the
No, I
best.
always like wait, so is it the first thing I do if it's my save game, or I'm just chilling?
Just chilling. So you're like grabbing a controller, someone else is playing it, and they just go, "Hey, you want to take a round? What are you doing just for fun?"
Oh, I'm punching people in the
Oh,
street and
always
then
very
running
good.
away to try and start the biggest brawl of all time. You can do that in every game. You
Oh,
sucker
it's
punch
so fun.
somebody
Yeah, yeah, it's really
until
good.
that person tries to fight you. An easy way to do this is you pull a cabbie out and you don't do anything. So you just start to take the car, but then you press the button again just to cancel that notion. The cabbie wants to fight, and then you keep riding. And then when you slow down, here's the important thing: you have to slow down sometimes, so they start to swing, and one will punch another guy in the head, and then they will start fighting. And if you play
Right.
your cards right, you can start like the best street brawl of all time in that game.
A Donnybrook? Will it be a Donnybrook, Dylan?
That and my friend, who will remain nameless because he has a family now, we used to smoke weed, and all he would try and do is get 3 hookers into a car at the same time. And one time he did it, and we celebrated. But it was one of those things where it's like we went out and got drunk, but that it was like he started to tell someone what we were celebrating, and then they were like, "What is it?" And he was like, it's like, I just started a sentence that I need to bail on. We had a really good test.
Do I
We
know
did a
this
good
guy? I
test.
think I know this guy. Based on this story, I think I know who this is.
His name is Reginald Denny.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
The
that's
guy
the
who
guy.
drove the truck in the Rodney game rights that was attacked by the
Yeah,
mob?
yeah.
I didn't
Reginald
realize.
Denny.
I didn't
Me
realize
and
you.
him hung out in high school when he
I
was in
didn't
his mid
realize you.
50s and I was 16.
I mean, I got to tell you, if anyone of all my friends who just randomly had a Doc Brown like friend in high school, it's definitely you. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. You really have to watch out when Dylan Gott goes, "This guy's a friend of mine," because sometimes they're a cool guy and sometimes they're a guy that just has a coffee or a hockey bag filled with clothes that are not his, but he still always has them with him.
Oh God! All right, so let's wrap this one up like I fucking never do, and then we're gonna enter the raw zone where we don't wrap anything up.
Here's what I'm going to say about newgrounds.com is that they have faced a lot of criticism for the games that they host, and they've always sort of said, listen, like Tom Fulp has basically been like, listen, it's not my favorite thing, some of the stuff people upload there, but we want to create a place where people can upload whatever they want and feel free to creatively express themselves. And Jesus fucking Christ.
But that's also why people, like, the whole reason I was on newgrounds.com, the whole
Yeah,
reason we're doing this episode is so people can, like, it's a way, but like for us at least, it's like a nostalgia machine, and also part of that nostalgia machine is like relitigating who you were and where, like, you're like, oh fuck,
such a
that was
great point.
fucking.
Yeah.
But that you need to, like, you can't, not you can't, but like it doesn't really serve its purpose to like censor everything that was. You have to like
Completely.
look back at it exactly what it was.
Yeah, you have to look back on 2005 and we have to all be like, what the fuck were we thinking,
Yeah, you
gentlemen?
can't just pretend you weren't a big piece of shit.
Yeah, this is the thing I don't love about nowadays is there is a lot of people being like, no, I wasn't like that. I'm like, you weren't eating kale in 2011. I remember a lot of you had emo haircuts, motherfucker, and we're not ever gonna fucking forget that.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I've been this hairline, and I'll get hair plugs so that I just have the emo bangs, but still very very
Have you ever?
very.
Okay, here's the things we're going to discuss in the raw zone. I would like to discuss the cultural significance of Osama bin Laden just being killed. That was a thing that was like very much around and then suddenly gone, up to and
Oh
including. And
yeah, sounds fun.
I just remembered this yesterday. Do you remember the Christian guy that got arrested trying to go hunt Osama bin Laden with a sword?
No.
Yeah, I remember that happening. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about hair transplant surgery. What else we could talk about in the raw zone?
I don't know, man. We'll fucking just fucking piss and shit and fuck.
I'll see you there.